Hi, I'm Michael Knorr, and this is Architecture Minute. This episode looks at how architects can mold architecture to create emotional, even visceral responses by the compression and expansion of space. Architect John Portman made his reputation designing a series of hotels for the Hyatt brand. They are characterized by soaring atriums for the lobby, around which are organized guest rooms, restaurants, and conference centers. The atriums expand space in a dramatic way, but what is sometimes missed is how low-ceiling spaces act as a threshold to these grand spaces, emphasizing their grandeur by contrast to more human-scaled spaces. Perhaps one of John Portman's best, and one of my favorites, is the San Francisco Hyatt. The visitor arrives by finding his way through low-ceiling and somewhat unremarkable spaces that suddenly burst open into light and height and a sense of having arrived in a joyous, expansive, but welcoming public space. Portman was an admirer of Frank Lloyd Wright, who was a master of this technique. At his own home, Taliesin in Wisconsin, Wright designed a very low-ceilinged entry that, with a little effort, eventually revealed an uplifting residential interior space. Suitable for a gathering, perhaps a party, the space is richer for the contrast. But this design device is much older than Frank Lloyd Wright. It goes back to ancient times. The Blue Mosque in Istanbul, built in 1609, is entered through an unassuming arcade, relatively low in height compared to the rest of the building. After traversing this threshold, hints of more exciting spaces are revealed, and finally, the space bursts open in a firework display of grand domes over the main space of the mosque. This idea, this architectural trick, can be done on any scale and is applicable to any type of building. In homes of today, the compression of space can be used to define one space, like this kitchen, from an adjacent space, the living room, without resorting to walls or vertical dividers. Both spaces become more meaningful by this exercise in compression and expansion, tension and release. The effect is magical. The revelation that space can be controlled in such a manner gets to the core of architecture. Architecture is not just a pretty facade. Architecture is the manipulation of space in the service of people, both aesthetically and practically.